Hallo und willkommen zur 48. Folge von Suzerain. Leider immer noch ohne Apfel. Aber heute, ich musste das jetzt nochmal aufnehmen, es ist noch derselbe Tag, an dem ich 4 Folgen davor, glaube ich, aufgenommen habe. Aber es ist gerade so spannend. The Assembly votes on the Constitutional Change. Kriegen wir unsere Changes durch? Kriegen wir sie nicht durch? Wir werden es erfahren. Search was driving me towards the Grand National Assembly for today's historic vote. It was a big day. I wondered where my attempt at changing the constitution would end any differently than Alfonso's. I looked out the window as the noise of the city diminished and saw that we were already inside the palace complex. The complex housed the buildings of all government branches in the center of Holzot. It was one of the biggest developments in Scotland. The Maroon Palace stood on a small hilltop, surrounded by trees. We passed by the palace and entered the forest that separated it from the Grand National Assembly. We drove on the small road that wound through the forest. It was a warm day, so I rolled down the window. I could hear birds singing from the trees. Are you okay back there, sir? As such, I'm okay. How are you doing? I'm as good as I can be, sir. Such made a left turn out of the forest and entered the west garden area of the assembly. Did you know that Mr. Talking Soul came to Holso this morning? I heard some politicians talking about it today. Apparently, this is the first time he's come to the city in the last 5 years. I thought he left the mainland and lived in a Duru island, never to return back to politics. But they were saying he might be here to exercise his Member of Honor rights for the first time. So, are you sure? Yes, sir. I overheard several men talking about it around the gardens of the assembly. It could just be rumors, of course. Do you think he's here about today's vote? Yes, sir. Most likely. Well, I'm sure he will support you, sir. We'll learn soon enough. Search drove inside the gates of the parkway and parked the car. We have arrived, sir. Thank you, sir. Search. Of course, sir. Good luck with the vote. I walked up the white stone stairs of the Grand National Assembly. The entrance looked like a temple gate from the classical era. The door opened to reveal vast corridors of wood and white stone. I joined the crowd of people who were walking slowly towards the parliamental hall. Suddenly, I noticed Lucian emerge from the crowd of packed politicians in front of me. He looked relieved when he saw me. Ah, sir, there you are. Have you seen Vice President Wacton? He's nowhere to be found. I'm sure he's among the crowd somewhere. I hope you're right. At any rate, how about yourself? Are you ready to finally face the assembly, sir? As ready as I've ever been, Lucian. I have full confidence in you, Mr. President. He followed the crowd into the parliamentary hall. After we were inside, Lucian and I separated to take our assigned seats. I went up to the mezzanine overlooking the hall and sat down. I waited as the MPs took their places inside the hall one by one. After a while, I saw Gloria walk to the elevated seat at the center of the hall. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. We will shortly begin with today's agenda of the USP's proposed changes to the Constitution of Scotland. After a short while, everybody was in their seats. According to the current constitution, constitutional amendments require a 2/3 majority in order to reach assembly approval. If the vote succeeds, the proposal will be sent to the Supreme Court. The proposal in question includes these points. She started reading the proposal of the Assembly. First section of the changes. Article 57 is modified with the following. She continued reading the proposal, highlighting each section. Section 2, paragraph 36. She went on. May not exercise his right to, and on. The justices of the Supreme Court. Most of the MPs seemed like they were already falling asleep. A simple majority is considered. The seat was really hurting my back. Section 4, paragraph 44a. It felt like an eternity had passed. Finally, she finished reading the changes. I hereby invite all of you to vote. She struck her gavel down. The loud bang made some MPs jump up in shock as they woke from their deep sleep. As I previously stated, it will require a 2/3 majority in order to pass. You may now cast your votes. I left the need to stand up and stretch. I looked down at the hall from the platform I was seated on. Some assembly members immediately walked to the ballot box to cast their votes. Most of them, however, began to congregate in groups around the hall discussing the changes. I'm expecting the votes! Oh my god. I go down to the hall. As soon as I reached the bottom of the stairs, Kizaru Kibana approached me. Mr. President, how are you feeling about the vote? Very positive. Even knowing you don't have our support? How optimistic of you. I have lost my respect for you, Mr. Rainey. So many problems in Scotland that must be addressed. And yet you insist on installing us with your democratic reforms. I know you will fail. You will lose the game. And so will your entire administration. I hope to be there when it happens. Keep hoping, Mr. Kibana. He abruptly turned away from me and walked towards his seat. Then I saw Lucian waving at me. He was among a group of people in the corner of the hall. I walked up to him. On my way I bumped into Monsoon Leakey. Mr. President, I'm sorry I didn't see you there. I wish you good luck with the vote. He gave me a cold stare. Excuse me. He straightened his tie and walked away. I finally reached Lucian, by now deep in conversation with another member of our party. He excused himself and turned towards me. Sir, did you vote yet? We have to be quick. No, let's vote. I signed my votes and prepared the envelope. Together, Lucian and I walked to the center of the hall to cast our vote. He kept rushing me throughout the process. Gloria bowed her head slightly in respect as she saw us vote. Lucian pulled on my arm and whispered in my ear. Mr. President, we may have a problem. Tuck and Sol is here. Where is he? When I waved at you, he was in the corridors. He must be somewhere inside the hall now. You have to accelerate the voting process. We need everybody to vote as soon as possible. We don't know what he's capable of right now, but if assembly members see him, he might influence them against the proposal. What can he even do? You, of all people, know the strengths of his personality. We must keep the assembly attention focused on you and your reforms. Schau dir die Assembly vom Center of the Hall. Das wird sicher gut gehen. Ladies and gentlemen, vote now for the future of Scotland. Many members of the assembly looked at me with puzzled face, but at least the USP members seemed to hurry a little faster to the ballot box. Suddenly Lucian pulled me aside. Sir, what do we do? He pointed at the back of the assembly, near one of the exits. I followed his finger to see Tarkin Sol sitting there. He looked much older than he had 5 years ago, but I could tell he had the same fire in him. Some MPs had already gathered around him and were chattering in awe. The assembly gradually went quiet as people started to notice Saul's presence in the hall. We have to make sure he doesn't sabotage anything. We should refrain from giving him the spotlight he expects. Maybe you can address him after the vote. As I was talking to Lucian, I spotted Kisana Kibana walking to the back of the hall towards talking Saul. He bowed in front of Saul and gave him a military salute. Seeing this, more people started to approaching him. Suddenly, Gloria came up behind us. Gentlemen, why don't you go back to your seats? Let's follow the procedure. Oh, by the way, you have 251 members today. As you can see, the Member of Honor is here. He has already cast his vote. Has he? Has he now? So, Miss Toria, how many votes are missing? Only a few. Alban Cleven and 3 other men approached us with envelopes in their hands. And these must be them. Good day to you, gentlemen, Madam Speaker. Good day, Mr. Cleven. I'm sorry to take so long, Mr. President. There was a friend who needed more clarification for this vote. Let's get this over with, gentlemen. They went ahead and cast their votes. Let's win this, Mr. President. He walked to his seat with a fist in the air. Oh mein Gott, Alter. 2/3 Majority kriegen wir doch nie zusammen. Now, why don't you two get back to your seats as well? Very well, we shall. We both went back to our seats. When I returned back to the mezzanine, I saw Peter sitting in the chair next to me. Did you cast your vote? Yes, of course! He looked at Gloria as she and her assistant counted their votes. The speaker's seat was only a few meters away from our platform. I really hope this proposal gets through. I hope so too. Let's see. He tried to get Gloria's attention by waving at her. How many votes left? Gloria looked at Peter. She looked annoyed. We have 36A, 40 more votes to count. Peter turned to me. We need 30 out of the last 14. 40, damn. We're going to get this. Come on. Peter pointed at where Franz Richter was sitting. Look at Franz Richter over there. I'm sure he was behind this mess. You shouldn't have trusted him. Don't jump to conclusion. Well, a single bang from Gloria's gavel reverberated across the hall. Everyone fell silent. The voting has been concluded. Wie viel brauchen wir von 251? Durch 3 mal 2. Wir brauchen 168 Votes. Passt das? 166. Ja, das passt nicht. Als ob. The proposal has 166 A's and 85 Nays, failing to surpass the 2/3 majority threshold. Es sind wirklich 2 Stimmen oder so. I hear the chorus of angry outbursts coming from the USB seats. Wait, what? Order, ladies and gentlemen, due to the Member of Honor's attention, the 2/3 threshold corresponds to 160. Ein fucking vote? Oh mein Gott, fuck. Soll, du Hund. Du Dreckiger. Muss mal schnell für Apfel festhalten. Dieser Dreckige. Thereby, the Grand National Assembly has rejected the changes to the Constitution. I turned to Peter. How can't you just shift the required vote like that? She just did. The assembly was roaring with all kinds of different reactions. I felt destroyed. I lowered my head and closed my eyes for a second. God, I'm sorry. It's okay, we'll find another plan. The MPs kept shouting in the hall. Among them I heard Franz Richter's voice. I blame the President for this result! He and his party's weak attitude towards real change doomed him from the start. His unorthodox methods of persuasion, I'm sure, have been experienced by most of us here. This is a corrupt administration we're dealing with. He's just like his predecessors, enjoying the privilege of the presidency while ignoring the responsibility that comes with it. It is time to realize that the real change will only come from the real reformists. The People's Freedom and Justice Party will keep landing this movement. Suddenly I noticed Tuckinsoul slowly rising from his seat at the back. He seemed to be struggling and used his cane for help. He stood and gazed around the hall as all of the members of the Grand National Assembly went silent. Keep watching him. He walked out the exit as two of his guards held the doors for him. Thank God he didn't do anything. Soul or no soul, we're definitely fucked. Neither the party nor the public is going to be pleased. We can't change the constitution, so what? We're still in charge. It's hard to be in charge without any support. Well, let's see what happens. We need to hold an emergency meeting to all plan our next moves. We both looked down at the floor for a while. After regathering our thoughts, Peter and I walked out of the assembly hall. We waited for Serge by the entrance. Ein fucking Vote. Ich würde sagen, das war's mit der Folge. Lasst ein Like und ein Abo da, wenn es euch gefallen hat. Schaut beim nächsten Mal vorbei und tschüss.